Okay, so the first thing I would do is check my headlights to make sure that the lenses are clear. They're not hazed, they're not cracked, the reflective material inside is not cracked or broken. My turn signal is amber in color on both sides. My clearance lights are properly secured and mounted, no missing screws, no cracked lenses, they're not hazed, there's no water, and also on my mirrors. Now I'll check under my hood. And when I get over here, I'm going to check my coolant level. I would check it here and I would fill it here, and if I needed to add any, I'd add a little above full. My bolts are all tight, they're not missing, there's no cracks or leaks. I'll check my hose here to make sure there's no cuts, punctures, or leaks. The coupling is tight and secured, it is not worn. I'll check my water pump down here to make sure the bolts are tight and secured, they are not missing. There are no leaks. I will check my belt to make sure it is not cut or frayed and it does not deflect any more than a quarter or a half to 3/4 of an inch. Half to 3/4 of an inch. I'll check my alternator here. I'll check to make sure all bolts are tight and secured, none are missing. I will check the wiring harness to make sure it is not cracked, frayed, or spliced, and that it is securely mounted. Now I will go to the other side. On this side, I will check the oil here, and I will add it here, and I will add a little above full if I need to. I'll check my air compressor here. All bolts are tight and secured, none are missing. There are no audible air leaks. I will check my line to make sure that there are no cuts, no pokes, no leaks, and that the coupling is not worn or loose. I'm going to check, it's also gear driven. I'm going to check my power steering reservoir here. Make sure that it's properly secured and mounted. I would check it here and add it here, and if I need to add any fluid, it'd be a little above full. I'll check my hose to make sure it is not cut, punctured, or leaking all the way over to my power steering pump. All clamps are tight and secured, they are not worn. I will check my steering shaft. It is not bent, cracked, or twisted. The U-joint is free of debris. No missing bolts. They are tight and secured. I will check my steering gearbox. All bolts are tight, none are missing. There are no leaks. I will check the hose going from my steering gearbox to my power steering pump. The hose itself is not cut, punctured, or leaking, and the coupling is not worn. It is tight. I will check my pitman arm to make sure it is not bent, cracked, or twisted. There's a crown nut and cotter pin present. My drag link is not bent, cracked, or twisted. There is a crown nut and cotter pin present. My tie rod is not bent, cracked, or twisted. There's a crown nut and cotter pin on both sides of the truck, and it's free of debris. I'll check my spring mount here and back there. Make sure all bolts are tight, none are missing. I will check the rubber bushing in here and back there to make sure it is not ripped or torn. I will check my springs to make sure they are not missing, misaligned, or cracked. I'll check my U-bolts to make sure they are not cracked, all nuts are tight. None are missing. I'll check my shock, make sure all bolts are tight and secured, none are missing. I'd look for grease running down the shock, which is an indication it's a bad shock. I will check my brake chamber to make sure there's no dents, no cracks, no leaks. All bolts are tight. The clamp around it is tight and secured, it is not worn. I will check my brake line to make sure there are no cuts, punctures, or leaks. The coupling is tight and secured, it is not worn. I will check my slack adjuster here to make sure it's properly secured and